Okay, so welcome to the webinar. This is taking payments in libraries. This is Rachel Westwood here. We're all going to introduce ourselves shortly because there's three of us on the webinar this morning that are going to present to you. So I'll just hand over to Grant White. He's going to kick things off for us.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for that, Rachel. As just mirror what Rachel was saying, thank you very much for logging on this morning. We do have a questions box on the right hand side of your screen. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, just pop them in there at any stage during the webinar, and we will answer them the best we can at the end of the webinar. So thank you very much for that. Okay, so some introductions. Sorry, one moment. Yeah, so I'm Grant White. I'm the partner manager here at Capita Software Services. And I'm part of the libraries business, and my role here at Capita is to work with other companies to explore how we can work together on a technical aspect and give you the best proposition that we can. And in this case, we've worked here with another part of Capita called Capita Payments Business. And I've also got my colleague Rachel Westwood.
Hi again, everyone. Yes, so I'm internal account manager here at the Capita Libraries business. I've been here just under 12 months now, and I'm a librarian, so I've got a very good understanding of how libraries work and the kind of processes that you go through. And I look after about 25 of the Capita Library accounts at the moment, scattered all over the UK, so plenty of experience there. And I'll now hand you over to Andrew.
For Capita Software Services Payment Management, I head up the development and QA teams for the division responsible for payments and processing payments. I'm not going to go into too much detail on what we do because one of my slides within this slide deck actually covers who we are, what we do, and our background. But I believe some of you on the call are already familiar with us as a business. I'll hand back to Grant now.
Thank you very much for that, Andrew. Okay, so the agenda for today, I'll kick off in a moment talking about why we've partnered with Capita's payment business. Then Andrew will pick it up, as he was just saying. He's going to give you an overview of the business and explanation of all their different products and services that they provide you to enable taking payments in libraries. Then my colleague Rachel Westwood, that you just heard from, will be talking about why you should consider online payments and how we can help you provide online payments through one of our products called Keystone. Okay, so just to provide some context then to today's webinar, we've noticed and observed that cash handling is becoming ever increasingly more expensive. We've also started seeing that citizens are expecting to make payments online for more and more of their life. They do it for online shopping a lot, and also they've started to do that for other local services as well. Now we believe that libraries should be involved in that absolutely as well, and there's no reason for libraries not to enable citizens to pay for library charges in the same way that they would pay for council tax or paying for rubbish to be removed, etc. Okay, so the reason that we've worked with Capita's payments business, that they are market leaders in providing payment solutions. Just in 2010 itself, they provided 20 million credit card, debit card payments. They've been going for the last 10 years, have over 220 customers, and can provide all aspects of payments from face-to-face, over the phone, and on the web. We've also have a large mutual customer base as well. So you may already be working with Capita Payments elsewhere in your local authority already, and if that is the case, then we might be able to work with you very quickly and provide integration with the library management system as well. So today really we're going to give you an overview of all the different aspects of how you can take payments but we are really interested to understand what you would like. Is what we're going to be talking about today going to be suitable for you, and also what kind of integration would be useful for you. We're going to propose a few different ideas today, but again, let us know. It's a real two-way thing, really. Okay, so thank you very much. I'll pass this over to Andy then.
Okay, so on my just covering off on my first slide, I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail on some of the points that Grant touched on. Capita Payment Management's been taking sort of payments on behalf primarily local government customers for around about 13 years now. Now, previous to that, we've got a number of other companies under our belt that we've formed part of, and we've grown out of a business of taking primarily payments in cash and cheque in local council cash offices for payments such as council tax and rent payments. Now, around the millennium, we've evolved as a business into offering a full range of web payments and automated telephony payments. And we currently employ 100 staff dedicated solely to the use of taking payment and developing solutions specifically for that. Within that team, we've got dedicated development and QA teams, dedicated support, a dedicated 24/7 managed services team responsible for the running of our host solutions that some of you may already be using at the moment. Now, just flicking over onto my next slide. I just wanted to highlight the diversity of customers that we currently work across. I mentioned before we've grown from the local government sector where we've got around 220 customers, but more recently we've been expanding into different areas that cross over a vast array of businesses. As the slide shows, names from BBC to Virgin to Asda to Edinburgh Council and across to Brunel University. We've got such a broad-reaching range of customers, and that really does sort of stand out and show our diversity and ability to offer payments on any channel, in any way, in any form, and cover all of our customers' needs. And just going on to the next slide, what I want to just go over is a brief overview of some of the channels and areas that we can currently process and take payments for on behalf of our customers. Now, it's a very summarised slide, this, and there's lots of information behind each channel here. But just in a basic terms, we cover all forms of processing a payment. And today we're focusing primarily on credit and debit cards, although as I mentioned, we also do a lot of work around cash and cheques, so that's relevant. But in a customer present environment, we have over-the-counter solutions that will use chip and pin, as everyone's used to using in areas like the supermarket or post office or wherever it might be. We have kiosk solutions that are enabling automated customer-facing payments. Again, everyone's used to seeing this sort of thing in supermarket or at parking meters. People use these chip and pin devices regularly all the time. We also have handheld devices that can use Wi-Fi or GPRS to actually enable a roaming service. And then going across the spectrum, what we have is the ability to take over the phone payments. So in the example, it might be a call centre, it might be just somebody in a back office. But branching out from that as well, we can automate those payments and offer automated telephony solutions, so you don't have to man a system to actually take a payment. And then last on the right hand side is internet payments and self-service that way, where people will log on to the internet and make a payment. Now, all these services feed into our secure bureau service, or referred to as SBS. Now, this is our hosted data centre that is fully PCI certified. Now, for those not aware, PCI accreditation is the big buzzword in credit and debit cards these days, and it's all about certifying the security of the data you're holding within your data center. It stands for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. Now, we've been a long-standing supporter of this standard, and we've accredited to it for 4 years on the trot now. So we've got true proof that we're we're actually providing sort of up-to-date, more secure solutions on the market. And then behind the scenes, there's the bank service that will process the authorisation element of it. Now, we have a number of routes we can integrate to these banks, but the key point is we integrate to all the key UK banks. Now, the one fundamental difference between us as a payment service and other suppliers in the marketplace is we offer the whole suite there as an end-to-end solution. We don't bring third-party PSPs in. We handle the whole transaction life cycle from beginning to end. Now, just flicking over to the next slide, I just want to talk a little bit about anti-fraud and security measures, and just to pick up on a few things that people need to be aware of. With any transaction process for debit or credit cards, you need to ensure you've got the right level of security on each channel. So in an online environment, you need to make sure you're processing AVS, CSC, and verified by Visa, or might be also referred to as 3D Secure, MasterCard Secure Code. You'll all be familiar with the 3D Secure process, where it asks you for a password partway through the solution. Now, as a business, we were first to market in the local government sector to offer a fully integrated solution, and we achieved in excess of 130 go lives ahead of the deadline. This was quite an achievement at the time, because many big suppliers were struggling to get supermarkets and big tier 1 retailers online. So it was quite a milestone for us. In telephone payments, you need to ensure you're collecting the CSC code. Now, this is the 3-digit code on the back of the card. So this is when someone rings up, you need to make sure you collect these details. That's what will deem the card transaction as secure. And then in a customer-facing environment, you must use chip and PIN these days. If you don't use chip and PIN, the banks will pass the liability of any transaction fraud back down to you as a merchant. And it's also a customer expectation these days that when they walk in and use their card, that they use chip and PIN. People expect to see this sort of stuff. But out of the box, we supply all of these levels of anti-fraud protection as standard. And just going on to the next slide, what I want to do was actually sort of take some of those key points that we just talked about and just drill into them in a little bit more information related to your specific markets. So, starting from left and working across, face-to-face and mobile. You've all got within your libraries a counter where people come in and they'll pay for library fines, might pay for rental of internet equipment or other services the library offers. Now, there's various ways you can tackle the acceptance of a payment, and most places generally still accept cash. Now, what we have available within the portfolio is an off-the-shelf solution that can simply just be plugged in on a counter to accept a credit or debit card transaction. Now, we've worked with a few of our customers in the library sector, offering these devices also in mobile library vans. So where the mobile libraries roaming, you can have one of these GPRS units in the van to accept payments out in the field. This does have some advantages because you're not putting a responsibility for the van to handle cash. Most people these days have a card, so it's not usually seen as a problem to offer it as an only method of payment, maybe. So you can improve security and also improve transaction handling all at the same time. But bottom line is very simple. You don't have to worry about integration. I'm going to show an example later on of how that might work. Now, kiosks is a rapidly growing area for many of our customers, and libraries seem to be somewhat ahead of the curve in some of these areas as well. Now, we've already worked with a company called Intelligent to actually integrate our chip and PIN services into their kiosk, and that allows them to post transactions in real time to a back-end service. Now, we're also looking at other areas that might look at extending the services that you could offer on those kiosks and get better value for money out of the kiosks that you've already got integrated in the libraries, and help justify other services that the library can offer. And then moving over onto the right-hand side, we've got the self-service web payments. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on this because we've got a few slides now that will talk about the library solution as a whole, working with the online payment service. But library payments is something that we can easily facilitate off the back of your existing self-service modules that you're already supplied with. But overall, what each of these three options actually provides you is three distinct routes that the member of public can either come into a library and interact with somebody, come into a library and self-serve, or access library services from home. And what we do behind the scenes is actually ensure that all of this information is put together. So on the next slide, what I just want to highlight is the actual whole solution as it hangs together and what it shows behind the scenes. Now, what you'll see on the screen should be the top boxes have disappeared, and what we've got there is an example of our secure bureau service actually demonstrating the benefit in the service. As a transaction is taken from a GPRS handheld unit or a Wi-Fi based one, it's posted real time into the back end data center. As it's taken from a kiosk, it's posted real time. As it's taken from the web, this caters for all of the other channels that I mentioned before as well. But from that back end, you can then get access to management information reports. You can perform refunds very quickly and simply. You can actually centralise services like refunds. It might be the fact that you want to not offer refunds from a library member of staff, but maybe hand it off to a central place across all libraries. Now you could do that, and you can see all the transactions across multiple libraries in one place. We then pass out on a daily basis daily management information that you can download and import, possibly into areas like Income Manager or your finance system. If you're an incumbent payment management customer, that data goes straight into your existing income management solutions, where we can feed your general ledger automatically and take care of other areas that you might not currently be picking up at present. All in all, vastly streamlining the overall process of taking payments. So that's covered my slot there.
Okay. Thank you.
Hand over again now.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Andy. Okay, so now I'm just going to take over for a short while, just to explain a little bit about why you might want to consider online library payments, particularly at this particular time at the moment. So, first of all, library user expectations are changing. People now expect to be able to pay for their library charges online in exactly the same way that they would pay for any other thing online nowadays. So whether that be in a public library where people expect to be able to pay for their council tax online, and they also expect to pay their library charges online, or whether it's an academic library. And students now expect to be able to pay for things online just as well as anyone else. So I think there's also quite a lot of pressure now for organisations to move towards a cashless way of working. Taking cash from customers is often a very expensive way of running things. So a lot more pressure on organisations to start offering credit card and online payments from customers. It's also about simplifying workflows as well. In these times where we find that we're facing, unfortunately, as we are, some of us are having staff cuts. There's a lot more pressure on staff that remain, and so any way of simplifying these workflows and taking off things like cash transactions away from staff, so that then they're more free to focus on core customer-facing activities, all helps towards streamlining workflow processes. And it's also about, as part of that, offering an improved customer service, so giving people what they want, making it quicker and more efficient for them to be able to pay when they want and how they want. Okay, so how does all this, what Andy said as well, fit in with what we can offer? Well, we have something called Keystone, which is basically our product which enables the integration of these payments with the library management system, so that you're getting real-time updates to the library management system when people make these payments. So what exactly is Keystone? Well, we have a couple of definitions here. So the first one is Keystone's a platform architecture which enables integration of library-centric services and institution-wide systems. So that's quite a mouthful, but basically what we're talking about there when we say platform architecture, we mean really machine-to-machine data transfer. So Keystone is the glue between your library management system and various organisational systems, which I'll come on to talk a little bit more about shortly. And in the second definition there, where we say Keystone delivers the promise of machine-to-machine interoperability by providing scalable and standards-based web services in a loosely coupled, reusable and componentised service-orientated architecture. So when we say loosely coupled there, that's basically a technical way of saying that we can attach from anything to anything. And I'll talk a little bit more detail about the things we can attach to. So this is a little diagram that just explains how Keystone can be used. So you can see there with the library management system on the left hand side, and then we've got the Keystone middleware, as it were, which talks to the library management system, and it also talks then to various different parts of your organisation through the different Keystone modules that we have. So you can see there's various different ways that we integrate with different departments across your organisation. So the ones that we're concentrating on today are e-payments and also the portal website integration, which often come together as a package because it's a very nice way of offering up charges to people via your website or your portal or your virtual learning environment. So you can see there, there's also other things that we connect the library management system to using Keystone. So we can do direct integration with your CRM system, for example, which a lot of public libraries are using now as they develop more and more the idea of a one-stop shop. So members of the public only have to go to one place to pay their council tax or find out what day their bins are collected, and also renew their books or pay their library fines. Finance departments as well, so that's another area where all the transactions, invoice and order transactions on the library management system can be sent straight through to your organisational finance system to remove the need for rekeying in various departments. So those are some of the other ways in which Keystone works, but as I say, the ones we're concentrating on today are the e-payments and the portal website integration. So what might be your main drivers for integration then in this sense? Well, there's a real need, I think, now to automate some of the manual processes that that libraries use. Often in libraries, I know this from my own experience, things are done manually because that's the way they've always been done, but I think now with time and finance constraints there's more pressure to automate some of these processes, basically, which means there's faster services for users. It's improving it for them because they can pay whenever they want, 24/7, which is real key, I think, to be able to offer these kind of services outside of your normal library opening hours. And of course, as I mentioned before, redeploying of staff, so they're not involved in these manual processes, rekeying information or taking cash payments from people. They can be focusing on more customer-centric activities. So those are basically the drivers that we're finding a lot of people are using to take up this integration. Okay, so if we start with the website integration then, and how this might link in nicely with your payments, e-payments module. So basically, by incorporating the library catalogue into your website or portal or virtual learning environment, you can surface information in there such as reservations, waiting, collection, library fines, number of books that are on loan, the number of overdue items that you have, which particular books are on loan. And this of course links directly to the OPAC. Users would be pre-authenticated because they would log in as they would normally to the virtual learning environment or to the portal. Or you could prompt some kind of login from a website link. So basically all this information can be surfaced in different elements of your organisation. So here we can see this is University of Glamorgan. This is their virtual learning environment, which happens to be Blackboard. And you can see in the bottom left hand corner there, this is the library account information surfaced within that page. So each particular student would have a welcome page like this, and that library information can be fitted into that page. So it's all about making the library more visible across your organisation, raising the profile of the library as well. So you can see all the values are 0 here, but normally you'd expect, obviously, students are in the library all the time. They'd have many items on loan, and usually they'd have some charges as well, so they would display there. And then they'd be able to click through to their account and pay the charges directly from here. So the same on this one here. This is University of Greenwich, slightly different display, but the basic principle is the same, that the My Account information is actually displayed in the virtual learning environment there. We do also have a public library example. So this is Cornwall Libraries. So as you can see here, this is quite a multifunctional area, where when you log into to My Account in Cornwall Council, you get all sorts of information, and your library My Account information is just a part of that, as you can see that in the bottom right hand corner there. And again, that shows the account balance there and how much is owed, and so the patron has the option then to pay that charge right from that screen there. It just means really that there isn't, people aren't having to make a separate login to the library catalogue to pay their fines. They can do it directly from your organisational web page or portal, whichever you choose. Okay, so e-payments integration then particularly. So this is the module that you would use to link in with your portal website module as well. So basically e-payments takes the integration a step further, so we're turning the two-way communication between the information portal or the website into a three-way integration with an e-payment provider, which for today's purposes is Capita Payments. So as I say before, public are used to accessing services out of hours and online. So there's a move away from traditional time-consuming methods to pay for library services and charges, and more pressure now to offer this credit debit card payments to make things really as easy as possible for them, as well as making things a lot easier in terms of time saved and money saved for the libraries as well. So the main benefits of e-payments integration are quick and efficient payment for library services, and of course, as I mentioned before, this is 24/7, so people are able to make these payments online whenever it suits them. So not necessarily just when the library's open. So you do get this increased service provision without having to invest in costly extended opening hours. So of course you have the savings in staff time and the reduction in cash handling from these when borrowers are given the power to make these payments themselves. Okay, so next up here we have the e-payment steps. So just so you can start to perhaps visualise how this all hangs together. You can see here the diagram is numbered with all the various different stages. So the first stage is that the library user would log in to their account, and that's however you choose. So it could be just straight through the catalogue basically, or using the website portal integration. They could be logging in that way. That's where the Keystone View My Account option comes in. That's where that sends that information through to the LMS for authentication, and then that comes back to the VLE that that person has been authorised to go in. Then at that point, the payment then is sent through to the payment provider, which we're using here today Capita Payments as the example. So that's where that part of the process comes in. And then Capita Payments do all the liaison with the bank as necessary to authorise that payment. And then that is then sent back to the borrower on their screen to say that yes, that payment has been accepted and made. And at that point they'd also be sent an email confirmation as well that the payment has been successful. And at that point, it's important to say, Keystone allows then the LMS to be updated in real time with that payment information, so there's no delay at all. As soon as that person logs back into their account, they'll see that that payment's been made and removed from their account. And the same happens as well for Alto. You'd be able to see that straight away in Alto. And of course the last stage on there is the finance system. So if you wish to work that way, then Keystone can also update the finance system with that information as well. If your organisation finance systems keep a record of any charges, that can be updated at that point as well. It's also worth just to mention to say that from the borrower's point of view, it's a very seamless process for them. They're not seeing all the behind the scenes activity of the payment provider and the work with the bank. As you know, when you pay for something online, it's all quite seamless, and you're only dealing with the one interface from a customer point of view. Okay, so just to summarise then, why e-payments is a good idea. It allows borrowers to pay their fines and charges online, whether that be through your website, through Prism or the OPAC generally, and any others really. So the ones we've used as examples today are just examples. In theory, as I mentioned right at the start, Keystone can connect from anything to anything, so that's entirely up to you where you decide to link from. It can accommodate minimum and maximum payment limits, so if you decide that it's too expensive for you to process 20p fines on a credit card, you can set a minimum there that people are allowed to pay online, and the same with setting a maximum as well. So Keystone does actually integrate with any payment solution provider and payment provider, including of course Capita Payments. And as I mentioned, it updates the LMS in real time, so there's no delay there. You do have an instant record when a charge has been paid. And crucially, we do use recognised web standards in the development of Keystone. So you can rest assured that over time, as any changes are made to the process or the system, you know, your system and the way you work is not going to fall over, because we use these web standards. Your integration is future-proofed in that sense. And of course, as I said, it's a 24/7 service, saving a lot of staff time. Just a quick word on implementation. Keystone can be introduced gradually, and our experience shows that's the way people tend to do it. They tend to pick one module to begin with, and then introduce others afterwards. Or you can take a big bang approach and go for the installation of everything all in one go. That's entirely up to you, and we can discuss with you your own particular requirements for that. We do scope out a project with you when we kick off the implementation. We do work quite closely with you. We work with you to set up a project team, so you know from your end who's responsible for doing what, and also from Capita's point of view who's responsible for doing what. And we work out timescales with you, how long we think it will take, and that can be anything from a couple of months to several months, depending on how quickly you want to work. The key is we're quite flexible, so we'll work with you at your pace. And you do get full support from the consultancy team, and of course the support is ongoing. Okay, so at this point we've talked about online payments, and how you can use the two Keystone modules, website integration and an e-payment module, to facilitate that. Now I just wanted to mention one of our other products, Income Manager. Income Manager is basically a module within the Alto library management system, and it's a combined software and hardware solution that enables you to manage your library's chargeable products and services. So it's fully integrated with Alto, and there's a couple of different ways of accessing it. Once it's installed, it can be accessed via the F6 Pay button from within Fines and Charges, or it can be accessed from the other tab in Alto. So there's no borrower card required there. And basically, there's a couple of, well, a few different sets of reasons why you might want to consider Income Manager. There's a few general reasons, and these are them here. So you have improved cash handling at the desk, simpler end of day cashing up. So it's a lot easier because you have automated reports, which are more accurate and a lot less time consuming than the manual ones you might have been running before. And it removes the need for manual cash transactions themselves. So mistakes can be made, for example, when giving change normally. This doesn't happen when you're using the automated till function of Income Manager. And it also reduces staff error by removing the process of rekeying into a standalone till. And what we also find as well is that a lot of libraries sometimes struggle when they're trying to balance the Alto report, whether that be at the end of the week or however often you do that, with what has actually been taken in the till when you're doing the cash up process. So that's another reason why. There's also some finance reasons as well why you might consider Income Manager. Basically, it provides an audit trail, so it makes accounting a lot easier. These days there's more pressure on organisations to have a complete audit trail of their transactions. It also means that individual till operator tracking can be enabled, so easier to spot when repeated mistakes are being made, for example. That's an optional thing, though you don't have to have that enabled. There's the X report, which gives you a temporary snapshot of the contents of the till. So change needed for refunds, etc. And this can be done daily for auditing purposes if need be. There's also the Z report as well. So this shows how much money is expected to be in the till since it was last cashed up. This is particularly good for accounting purposes because it's easy to keep track when reconciling your transactions, either on a daily or weekly basis, depending how busy a particular branch is. Okay, I see we've had a question there from John Usher asking, can it reconcile the takings from kiosks as well as tills? I'm just thinking, does it link in with Bridge?
John, yeah, I think we'll need to get back to you on that one. It's one of the aspects that we're looking to develop integration with. One of the other aspects is also with Capita payments as well. Andy, do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, I'll just chip in. Effectively, what we've got in place at the moment, and for example, Intelligent with one of them, I'm speaking with a company called D-Tech as well, but effectively we can bolt onto any kiosk required. Well, effectively what happens with the process is we will process the debit or credit card transaction. We can do cash and check and other methods as well, but we'll post that transaction information real time into a secure back end. Now, available at any point in time at that point, you can actually run reports on the back end of the service. Also available at the end of day to download that you can pull down and actually import either directly into a finance system, into an existing income management solution. Now, you might not be a Capita Payments income management user. You might be a Civica or Northgate user, so it can feed straight into that. We've done that several times. In addition to that, though, as well, Intelligent, for example, already bolt into Keystone on the back end, so Intelligent could post updates via Keystone in other ways as well. So it might be that you update the income manager directly from the kiosk using that solution. So a few different ways. Complete flexibility is probably the bottom line. And if you've got more information about what your back end processes are and what you'd like to reconcile and see, then I'm happy to chip in and assist with a bit more of a guided response specifically to your needs.
Okay, thanks, Andy. So my final bit on Income Manager was basically just to say you've got this is how it looks actually when it's within Alto. So you can see here when you actually go to make the payment, you've got the different options there of how to make that payment. One of which is you can see circled there, credit card. And I think, Andy, you're just going to say a little bit on how that would work.
Yeah, I mean, we could go several routes with this, but one of the key things we were conscious of is keeping everything simple. Now, what we have available, I mentioned earlier, our handheld units, which can either be used on a counter or on the move. It's up to you guys how you actually use them. But effectively, these things can sit on a counter. They can be shared between 2 or 3 library cashiers in that instance. And then when somebody wants to make a payment against a credit card, you can ring the amount into Income Manager there, enter the details and the credit card into the device separately, take the payment, click the credit card button in Income Manager. What we'll get behind the scenes is the same process that I overviewed regarding the kiosk. That goes into the back-end system, and then that can be either pulled down and imported into Income Manager. If you want to reconcile that way, it could be passed direct to finance systems as well. It's various different ways. We have got a couple of libraries already using that. The main area they're focusing on is the mobile libraries, though. They like the idea of it being GPRS, but that we're finance system directly for them in that instance. So again, it depends what fits and what's the easiest option for you. But if a more integrated step was required, we do have the same tools we use within the kiosk integration that can take it a step further. But that just needs a discussion on what the benefits are and who sees which is the best fit for your requirements.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Andy. All right then, so just to summarise then really now, I thought we'd bring this slide up again at the end, just because it quite neatly really sums up how everything that we've talked about today neatly fits together in a way. So I hope that we've given you a little overview anyway of how we can offer a seamless solution from your point of view in terms of payments for your libraries, working closely with Capita Payments. I'm sure us at libraries will do everything we can to offer you that seamless solution, and you can see on the screen there the different ways in which we can offer that for you, as I've talked through. So in terms of face-to-face, so that's the income manager process that I was talking about, and also in terms of mobile, the handheld way of paying that Andy's talked to us about. And also in terms of, as well, kiosks and offering payments through your kiosks and online via the library catalogue using Keystone as well. The two different modules within Keystone, the website and the portal integration, and also the e-payments module. So that's basically how it all fits together. Is there anything else, Andy, that you wanted to add just at the end?
No, I mean, from our perspective on the payment side, we've integrated to virtually everything out there and done payments in every single channel going. So we're confident we've got options that fit people's needs. I say some of you are already using some of these solutions at the moment. And the other side of the coin that to chip in on this is, I know a few libraries are looking at how they extend the services that libraries offer, and some of those services are bringing in a greater need to charge for things. So such things like, say, renting space or for internet access, or maybe DVD rentals. All these sorts of things are increasing the value of the actual transaction you need to partake in within a library. I think that's where it's becoming important around the need for debit and credit card payments in the library environment. So again, if you've got any questions or any thoughts on could we do this, could we do that, I'm more than confident we can field those questions for you.
Yes, definitely. I'll second that as well. If there's any questions you do have for us, you can see our emails are on screen there. That's mine and Andrew's emails. So if you do think of anything afterwards, then do please, by all means, drop us a line. And we do talk to each other as well. So if you just want to email one of us, we'll always pass it on to the other one and do any kind of liaison on your behalf in that sense. Has anybody got any more questions at the moment though? If you could type them into the box.
Or you could put your hand up.
Yeah, and we'll unmute you if you put your hand up.
Okay, if you don't have any questions right at the moment, like Rachel was saying, please do drop us an email. Or if you've got any comments about how you like integration, as Andy was saying earlier on, it's as much or as little as you want really. They can run separately, or they can be integrated in with the library management system as well, in the various different ways that Rachel spoke. So yeah, please do let us know what you want.
Okay, just like to say thanks, Andy, for joining us. It's a new venture for us, so we look forward to working with you going forwards. And as for everybody else, thank you for joining us, and hope to see you on a webinar soon. Thank you very much.